Wuchang, Fallen Feathers is a new Souls-like action RPG set during the Ming Dynasty era, developed by Leenzee, a studio based out of China. Wuchang Fallen Feathers is probably one of the most difficult Souls-like games I've played, but I enjoyed pretty much every minute of my 30-hour playthrough. The combat is among the best in the genre, and the best way I can describe it would be a mix of Dark Souls and Lies of P. However, Wuchang carves out its own identity in the space by getting rid of the mana bar and tying spells to dodges and parries. The game quickly becomes a dance of Souls combat, fast-paced dodging, parrying, and throwing out a variety of spells that change the tide of battle, as you can equip 4 different spells at any given time. The boss battles in particular were a big highlight for me, showcasing tons of variety and fantastically grotesque designs. For the most part, they were never overly frustrating or gimmicky, with clear attack patterns and animations. While some bosses do have second stages, the game doesn't abuse it like so many Souls-likes do these days, just to make things even more difficult. That said, I do anticipate that some of the bosses will be nerfed slightly post-release to reduce the frequency of their attacks, and probably have some of their health bars adjusted to make sure the level scaling throughout the game stays a bit more consistent. Another thing Wuchang does differently is its leveling system, which really helped with getting around certain boss walls in the game. You still collect souls, aka red mercury, but as you level up, you unlock essence points that are used to fill out a skill tree tailored to your weapon and powers of choice. This even extends to what you normally call weapon coding in other Souls-likes with a temperament system that is tied to the skill tree. You can refund and reallocate those skill points at any point during the game with no penalty, allowing you to change up your combat strategy or experiment as needed. This became immensely helpful later on when facing some bosses that my build wasn't really tailored for, and as I understood the combat mechanics better, saving me a lot of unnecessary grinding like you'd normally do in other Souls-likes to beat the boss you're stuck at with higher stats alone. The Souls-like games that stand apart from the rest for me, typically, come down to their world design, and Wuchang absolutely excels at it. The game isn't open world. Instead, it's broken up into different sections that are visually varied and contain tons of hidden paths, areas, and secrets to find in pretty much every direction you go in. It's all tied together by the fantastic looping design exemplified by From Software over the years. While a lot of Souls-likes give you an endless amount of loot to find these days, Wuchang opted to go with a less is more approach. I used a longsword build throughout most of my playthrough, and while I know there's more of them to find in the game, I only came across 2 different longswords and stuck with one of them for the majority of the game. This made each weapon I found feel unique and rewarding, rather than having tons of useless loot to sift through all the time. For whatever reason, 505 Games decided to price Wuchang Fallen Feathers at $50, which is an absolute steal for this game. It's an excellent entry into the Souls-like genre, packed to the brim with content, and it could have easily been priced at the usual $70. Even after 30 hours in the game, I know I haven't seen every boss or secret area. Some difficulty spikes and some areas of uneven technical performance aside, I found very little to dislike about Wuchang Fallen Feathers, and would put it in the upper echelon of Souls-likes that aren't from Software. Do yourself a favor if you enjoy the genre, and don't skip this one. Wuchang Fallen Feathers is out on July 23rd, 2025 on Steam, Xbox Series S and X, and PS5 for $49.99. It's also available through Game Pass.